Since, I started out so young, when I was around 11 or 12 years old, I didn't really have that, oh, I want to be an actor, mom, put me into the industry. It was just something that kind of happened, and I just so happened to be good at it. And it was just from one small success to another, fate and just kind of like the way things just worked out. I just continued to walk my path.
You were clearly booked and busy from day one.
I just show up. That's just my thing.
He just shows up. And he's talking to a room full of people at the BFI. Let's talk about your parents. What were they watching that influenced you, like with your creativity? Was there a particular show that the whole family would get together and watch around the TV, or a film that kind of really sparked your interest from your parents' taste?
I wish I had like a real deep philosophical answer for that, but it was. My mom's an artist. She paints. She works with like leather goods and and canvas, and she's always reupholstering the couches in the house and stuff like that. So I was always constantly around like some type of art, some type of creativity. I was big into anime and comic books and cartoons, and I was a a very I don't know. I was always in my imagination as a kid. The acting thing just kind of. It just kind of came about, honestly, and I guess, I feel like I'm an empath. I feel like I feel people and people's energy. So just being able to connect with people, and somehow that made sense for me when it came to characters and scripts and being able to I don't convey that emotion is something that I can't really fully explain. It's just something that that's just me.
It's just the magic.
It's it's just certain things you just can't really explain. Like you just kind of try to stay out your own way, and I just really embraced it and took it one step at a time.
And when it came to sort of converting that magic into action, obviously that brings on auditions. So can you tell us about the first audition that you remember going on, and what kind of kid were you when it came to sort of preparation?
That's a great question.
Thanks, I tried.
She asked me in the back, she was like, do you want to know the questions? I'm like, nah, we're going to wing it. Let's just do it. Trying to think, what first audition, I want to say it was for like The Sopranos. It might have been The Sopranos. I was an extra. I was one of the kids during like Tony's flashback shrink sessions. I was like one of the kids in Coney Island. I was like bullying him, walking down the street. And I mean, does those count? Because I feel like those are just kind of like just showing up and just like, all right, talk shit to this kid walking down the street, and it's like, all right, I can just chat shit, whatever.
Yeah, so, but you booked it.
No, I did. So that was cool. I guess my first real audition that I remember was like this movie called Hardball. It was a Paramount film. It was a baseball movie with Keanu Reeves and Diane Lane, and that was the first project that I actually had to travel to go actually shoot. We shot it in Chicago, Illinois, and it was like me and about 7 other kids in the room. It was like a mix and match, trying to find the chemistry or whatnot, and we're reading these lines, and I just remember just being a kid. I think, when you're really young and you start out, or at least for me anyway, you're just being a kid, I just happen to kind of like fit the mold at the moment, until you really start to put your mind to it. And I think that was right around the Wire days, which came shortly after that. Yeah. Like between 13 and 16, those 3 years, I did a lot of developing on my mind of really what the industry could be and what a career could be for myself. So that's when I started to really be intentional, and really commit to certain things. So yeah, The Wire was the one that The Wire was the character The Wire was the show that I really fell in love with the craft. The first time I lost myself in a character, that was that show changed my life, I think.
Well, it's like you're psychic, because guess what, Michael? Oh, shall we take a look at you in action as Wallace in The Wire?
I was rough back then. Just bear with me.
Let's see you in those cane rows.
Oh, man.
Young MBJ in the cut.
Oh, man, I sound like my voice is so crazy.
Is it weird seeing yourself that young?
It is. The crazy thing is I remember everything about that scene. Just the process. I remember rehearsing that scene. I remember the cable on the wall. I was trying to find business to do in the hallway, and I just started fiddling around with the cable. That scene for me was kind of like the moment, because right after that I noticed there's a dead body in the backyard, and that kind of changes Wallace's trajectory for the rest of the season. So that was the lead up to that character moment. So yeah, it definitely takes me back, and at the same time, it feels like yesterday.
Yes, I mean, and your haircut's changed, really.
Yeah. I mean, the hair, like the braids, man. Yeah. Puberty, y'all, puberty.
Won't it do it? I mean, how did you find your way to that character? Because obviously, you grew up in completely different areas. So how did you find your way to, like, I guess, the soul of Wallace?
I think that was the era that I was talking about of just being a kid. I just so happened to be able to show, because Wallace's character, a lot of those characters are based off real people. Wallace was based off two people. It was a guy and a girl, and I guess that emotional part of Wallace, that having a conscience, not being fit for the game, not having it in him, but he was a victim of his circumstances. He was doing whatever it took to kind of survive in that environment. And he had heart, he had compassion, he cared, he was, taking care of the lookout boys and stuff like that. So he, looking back at it, I know David Simon was basically having the audience fall in love with this kid for his ultimate demise and heartbreak at the end of the
yeah, spoiler alert, guys.
Listen, it's been over a decade. There's no more spoilers. But I think it was leading up that emotion, building on those characters to know that he was gonna end the way he did at the end of the season. So it takes me back. It's cool to kind of reflect on that moment because it meant a lot to me, and honestly, it changed my career.
How refreshing was it to you to be given that kind of material at that age?
I don't think I realized what it was when I was doing it, but in hindsight, it's looking back at it, it is the why behind the clickbait, or the headline, or how did they get the drugs? That's one of the amazing things about The Wire is, season by season, they peel back the layers to, how you got to the low rises. You went into the, to the docks, how they got imported in, what the mobs and how, what, union workers, what, police officers, what, politicians looked the other way to let this shipment come in. And everybody's kind of working together, to kind of create this thing. And it's never really been portrayed like that before The Wire. So it gives some context and background and shows some humanity, to these characters that a lot of people don't get a chance to meet firsthand. The only interactions that they have, or the only perception that they have, is what the news and media kind of portrays them, the propaganda, and that I think we're a lot of intelligent people in here. We all know that that's very skewed and biased. So if you run across somebody from a different country and the only thing they have to look at is what you see on TV, people might be a little apprehensive, might fall into those stereotypes, and that's the power of cinema. That's the power of storytelling, and you just have to be responsible with that. So being able to be a part of a show, to be a part of that enlightenment, is it was a blessing.
For sure. Now, your character, as we discussed, again, it's been 10 years, he met his demise at the end of the first season. Now, as a 15-year-old actor, how tough was that to accept that you were just going to be doing one season? I mean, how did you deal with being like, okay, I've just been on this massive show and now my character's been killed off?
So one thing about The Wire, nobody was safe, all right? Anybody can get it at any time. It was one of those shows like Game of Thrones, like real shit. Like every week, you're like, somebody's gonna go, So what we did was, honestly, you would get a script and you would just flip through it to make sure your name was at the end of the script, Right. And it was like, oh, okay, I made it, cool. Now I can read it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And at that time, a few other characters had got killed off the season that you didn't really expect. And you never wanted to get that knock on your trailer door from David Simon, because that was usually him coming in, trying to let you down easy. And he knocked on my trailer door, and he was just like, "Look, Mike, we love you. Everybody here loves you, which is why we got to kill you, And I just remember being real sad, and I was crying and moping around set because I was 15 and I got a chance to really get to know those guys, the Idris Elbas and Dominic West and Andre Royos and Wendell Pierce and, everybody on the show were like family. So just knowing that I wasn't going to get a chance to come to work with them and spend time with them was really sad. But everybody was like, "You'll be fine." I was like, "Well, how do you know I'll be fine? You don't know." Yeah, so it was a definitely impactful time, but things turned out, I guess.
I mean, I wanted to ask, like, how did that prepare you for the acting game as a business?
You just kind of, everything's going to come to an end at some point, no matter how, great it is or great of a run. You have shows and characters that, are very memorable and make a huge impact on people, but, everybody has their time, nothing lasts forever. So you got to enjoy it, and what do you do with that time that you have is what's really important. And it did give me, I was a master class in front of the camera and behind the camera on so many different levels that I always kind of take with me. Like, I was spoiled very young, Like, I got a chance to work on that show when I was 15. So everything else, I'm like, what is this? I don't know what this is. Like, I'm used to working, with David Simon, et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't have that attitude. But at the same time, I just set a certain bar for myself. That was the type of work that I wanted to do and be a part of. And, I just tried to hold myself to that standard and it just directly affected my taste when it came to projects and material.
Well, that brings us to one of your biggest film projects from just after that time, a few years after, Fruitvale Station, an incredible movie. Clap it up for Fruitvale. Brilliant movie. And that was the beginning of your relationship with Ryan Coogler, your good friend. Now, you were only about 26 when you made that movie, about 25, 26. Okay.
So, yeah, 25, 26, yeah.
But it's based on the life of Oscar Grant, who was sadly shot and killed New Year's Day about 10 years ago, actually, 2009 that happened. What kind of responsibility did you feel taking on such a role? Because, we're going to talk about Just Mercy later on because Brian is very much still alive, but, taking on the story of a young black man who's died in an unjust way. How did you approach that?
It was at a time where I was very, as a young black man, I think I was very frustrated, what was going on, in America. I think, Trayvon Martin had just got killed, down in Florida. And I remember, just being really frustrated and really upset, and I didn't really know how to, express myself. And I don't know what social media platform I was on at that time, but it was like I remember just writing stuff and just deleting it. I can't say that, writing it. I can't say that, and I just felt very suffocated, not being able to fully express myself the way I wanted to. And I really put into the universe. I wanted a project that allowed me to say what I wanted to say. I swear to you, it was like one of those things that things just kind of happen, And then I was also being frustrated as an actor, not really. I was questioning myself. I was like, okay, can I carry a film? I've never been the lead of a movie before. What kind of actor am I going to be? I'm 26 years old. I'm in LA, going for broke every role. You're doing little guest, appearances here and guest stars here. And, running out of money, 2 months later, and you're trying to figure out what the next job is going to be. It was at a time that I was just trying to figure things out, wondering if I was going to move back to New Jersey or not. There was a lot going on. And I remember I got a call from my agent and how it happened, I didn't know this at the time, but Ryan had wrote that script for me, and he had tracked down the assistant to my agent's friend, who's another assistant at the agency, and somehow got me the script. And I read it, and immediately I was like, oh man, this is it. It checks all the boxes of kind of how I'm feeling right now, things that I want to do. And I met with Ryan, and the first 20 minutes I was like, cool, let's do it. It wasn't, at that time, having a choice or deciding not to do things was really tough. You had so many life, situations going on. I really need that check. I could really do this. I could really do that. And it's really tough for actors to make quality decisions when you have those responsibilities on you. So for me, it fit perfectly with what was going on in my life. And yeah, playing Oscar, I got a chance to say all the things that I was feeling on the inside, but I got a chance to put it in my work, shining a light on this character. It was definitely difficult for me to, because he's obviously passed away, and I didn't have I didn't have him to talk to or to ask questions. So I had to get to know him through the people that knew him the best, his family, his friends, his daughter, the mother of his child, his mom, and that was my first. Yeah, it was an intense first time for me, wearing those clothes and being, around those people and them letting me in. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were approaching them from Hollywood, trying to, make movies, and they were very standoffish at first. And thank God for The Wire, because they were fans of Wallace. So like that helped too, that was kind of like my way in. It was like, oh, Wallace, okay, cool, sure, let's go. So that definitely helped out a lot with them kind of trusting me. And then it was, I took a huge responsibility. It meant a lot to me, I put a lot into that, really doing the homework.
I mean, you just mentioned trust there. What was it about Ryan that made you know that you could just trust him implicitly as a creative partner?
Oh, if anybody had a chance to meet Ryan, he's unapologetically who he is no matter who he's around. He's very honest. He's really smart. He asks smart questions. He has very thoughtful responses. And honestly, if we would have grew up together, he would have been one of my closest friends. We liked the same things. We, played the same video games, ate the same cereal, shit like that. It was like he was just somebody that was like, man, you're like, a reflection of me, so to speak, but just doing, he was the other piece. I was kind of his muse. He was the director that I needed at the time, and that kind of brotherhood, that partnership was created, and yeah, it was all of the above.
All right. Well, I think we should see some of you and Ryan's work in action. So this is a scene from Fruitvale Station with Melanie Diaz, who played Safina.
Melanie's awesome, by the way. That was actually the first day of Fruitvale. That was the first scene that we shot of the whole movie, which was intense. Just to drop this right up on in there. But that was a cool scene. That was a cool moment.
I read an interview with Ryan, and he went on record saying that was the most toughest scene he had to write for the whole movie. He said was that scene. Like, how was it to act it? Because I mean, there's so much going on in there. She sort of strips him down as a man, but then brings him back up again, or what she thinks a man is supposed to be. Like, how did you and Melanie work that scene out?
Yeah, a lot of rehearsal. We had a lot of rehearsal. We had a vibe. We really connected. She had a chance to spend a lot of time with Safina. I got a lot of, I spent a lot of time with the family and just kind of understanding like what was really going on with him at that time. And it was just, you seeing this guy that's like trying to do the right thing. He's trying so hard. He wants to do the right thing, but his reputation and his track record, is always kind of being thrown in his face of like not being good enough or not doing enough. And to not have that trust or that, to not be believed by somebody you care so much about that you're trying to do all this for, like, I'm trying to do all this for you, and oh man, it's just, he felt cornered, with his back against the wall. So to kind of like try to bring that frustration to the forefront was a challenge, but it was fun. We had a lot of fun shooting those scenes, and yeah, she's a great scene partner. She listens very well, and we just went after it. Like I said, that was the first day we shot, so we were still finding the character and finding our footing, in these scenes. But it was good.
By the time you got to the pivotal scene where it all ends for Oscar, how comfortable were you with your sort of knowledge of him? How comfortable did you feel as him? Because, considering day one, you got this big romantic conflict. You are telling this woman that you support that, you're not really doing so great. So by the time you got to shooting that scene, the scene that essentially everyone's waiting for, how comfortable were you with him at that point?
I'm trying to think when we shot that. We shot that towards...
It's all right, I don't need the day and the time.
No. I was trying to think of where I was at because, it was I was constantly trying to find this guy. And it wasn't like one moment was like, oh, I got him. I don't have to do any more work. It was always a constant kind of like, work in progress. But one of the things about that night, we shot at the actual platform that he was murdered at. We shot like literally you know, they still had the bullet hole on the platform, and I was laying exactly on top of it. So, you know, when you bring that into the picture, and I remember that morning, that we were on nights. I remember that day, going into nights, praying to him and just kind of like just asking him to be around me, you know what I'm saying? And just be here, in this moment with me so I could just pull from him, like just give me your essence, you know what I'm saying? Just be around me when I'm doing this, doing these scenes. And it was an intense night. And, Ryan huddled everybody up. He's an ex-football player. And we all got together, and he just gave this really deep speech. And kind of got everybody fired up. And we went out and shot it, and it was we got what we got. We felt like we got something really special that we couldn't really duplicate. So it was really powerful.
Really vital and important film. So you guys continue to work together in Creed. In the interim between Fruitvale and Creed, what kind of roles were you getting offered? I'm really interested by that, just because people had seen you, as Wallace in The Wire. They'd seen you as Oscar, and both of these guys met their fate in not the most positive way. So I was just intrigued as to what people were.
Honestly, that's when I really started to play the game, of like the industry. That's when I really started to like play chess or have the ability to play chess, So I don't think I worked. I don't think I did anything. I think I waited, because right before we actually shot Fruitvale Station, Ryan pitched to me Creed. We didn't even shoot Fruitvale yet. He was like, "Hey man, I got this idea about, Apollo Creed's son. Would you want to play him?" And I was like, "Cool, let's do it." I didn't even, that was the pitch. There was nothing else to it. I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And he was, during casting, he was going back and forth to MGM and Sly's agent, and politicking, trying to convince Sly, because he took some convincing for him.
I need a Sylvester Stallone impression now, I feel.
Oh, me? No, I'm the worst at that. I'm horrible at impressions, really bad. No, but he took some convincing to want to bring Rocky back to the screen, and obviously Ryan did as much work on him as we could. Everybody, I think his wife played a real pivotal role in him taking that role, and obviously he wanted to wait to see how Fruitvale came out, to kind of really trust Ryan with the project. So yeah, like so just knowing that I had what was right. Oh, yeah, Fantastic Four. That was that. Okay.
Yeah. Look.
Y'all, hey, listen, okay?
Listen.
It was a great...
Sometimes we have wins. Sometimes we have not so wins.
It was on paper, it was the thing to do, okay?
There we go. And you broke boundaries playing that character still.
And honestly, I would do it again. Yeah. If I had another crack at it, I would honestly do it again, because representation is really important, and it was something that just having a character that was traditionally played one way for a really long time, just to kind of play that character, and it was that was a win for me. And I was humbled, and it was a good moment for me. I was like, yeah, they all not going to be glitter and gold. It's not going to happen. Yeah, so I think that was the one project that I did right before Creed. I don't think I did anything else. I was blessed, I think, to be, I want to say I maybe had an endorsement or two, at some scale that allowed me to not work. And then I knew I had Creed in the clip that was coming up pretty soon. So I was like, all right, I'm going to knock out this project, did Fantastic Four, and then right after it, I met my trainer, which took me to another level also, because I knew I was going to be playing this boxer, and I didn't really know how I was going to be getting in shape.
I know there's lots of fans of your trainer in here.
Oh, yeah, Corey's the man. He's around here somewhere. Where you at, Cole?
Hey.
Oh, there you go. There, he back there.
Excellent work, sir.
Corey,
Excellent work.
Corey in there. No, so I met him down in Louisiana, and we became really tight, and then we rolled right into Creed.
How exciting was it for you to, just have carte blanche of a character that nobody had ever seen before, but also with that ready-made fan base from the Rocky franchise?
Again, it was one of those things that I can't take, credit for. It was just, it was another step on my path, and it was the perfect kind of combination of, gaining all these Rocky fans and that love that world and loved Apollo Creed, but then not making a Rocky film, making a Creed movie, and starting a whole new franchise for the culture, I think was really important. And, to have Ryan, a director that I really trusted, that we already had that shorthand with, it made shooting that movie that much easier for me in the sense of just communication. We really, we really leveled up on that one, and yeah, it took me to another level.
Well, I reckon we should have a look. Can we just check out the first Creed clip, please? Michael B. Jordan and Miss Tessa Thompson. Tessa Thompson's got a fantastic nickname for you. She calls you Michael B. Acting. I've seen her call you that in lots of interviews, and obviously an incredible scene partner in Sylvester Stallone. How did you manage to keep the sort of warmth and growth of the characters with you, considering you had a different director? Because obviously Steve Capleton did the second movie, we had Ryan Coogler on the first. Like how did you kind of manage to maintain those relationships?
I think having another incredible director who respected what we started. He didn't come in and try to reinvent the wheel. He knew that we had a pretty good handle on these characters, and he allowed us to express, what we needed to express, and he just wanted to kind of, I guess, bottle that and direct it within the story, he joined the family. It wasn't like he came in and tried to, start over. So, Steven's an incredible director, and we were very fortunate to work with him on that one.
And definitely leveled up, because I think, as a movie goer, as a sort of cultural observer, like we all are, I think that's when a lot of us, notice people speak of you as an actor as well as a movie star. Movie star started being a word that people were giving to. Well, yeah, and also I think Time Magazine said that you were redefining what a movie star is, because you went on to another big franchise. So we need to talk about the Marvel Universe, and we've got to talk about you as Erik Killmonger in Black Panther. Would you say he is the unsung hero of the movie? Because I think one of the fantastic things about the film is that, Eric's got a lot to say. He's got a lot of monologues, especially about the Black experience, in America, which is quite reflective of what it is in the UK. Do you think he is unsung? Do you think he was misunderstood?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. I really wouldn't call him the villain. I look at him as the antagonist, in the movie, and he was a part of a conversation. He was a side of the conversation that you don't often see, on screen, especially not in the Marvel film on that scale. T'Challa had had one side of the argument, and he was right in how he felt and his upbringing and knowing who he was and knowing where he came from. Mm-hmm. But there's so many that's part of that Black diaspora, that doesn't, from the U.S. that I kind of looked at as like the lost tribe of Africa, and that not knowing where they come from, not really having any deep cultural roots, and what that can do to somebody, under systemic oppression, and what that can create. And, to be able to have that smart dialogue on screen, packaged in a Marvel film, I think allowed a lot of people to take that information in without turning their ears off, and being able to understand, what that experience could have been like and what systematically that can do. I think it was, I think it started to bridge the gap between, Africa and, the United States. You think there's a lot of old traditions and stereotypes and stigmas of, us not being really African, and you're not really Black, and all that other shit that, kind of has been floating around for a really long time.
Speak on it, Michael B.
I think it's something, it started a conversation that I think needed to have, and, and then a lot of young people, are reaching out on both sides. Like, I'm going to, Ghana, for New Year's.
That's my people.
I'm going,
I told you he was Ghanaian.
For the year of the return, and I'm going there, and I know a lot of, people, a lot of brothers and sisters from, from Hollywood and from the U.S. are trying to make that trip also. So, I don't think that would, I'm not saying the movie is just because of this film, but I think it was a huge step in getting people to look at Africa different and really want to, be a part of, of home. So
Well, it was
good.
more than a movie. It was like a movement of sorts, Black Panther.
It was. I mean, whenever you can get, a studio like Marvel, to be, first money in to back this message, to put it around the world, to put it in its, in its, it's a spider web of films, that people are going to go see, regardless of whether you had a deep Black Panther connection, you want to see how everything ties in. So a lot of people that I don't think maybe they didn't get what they thought they were going to get when they left the movie theater, and I think that's the power, again, of cinema and storytelling, and yeah, bringing some, different perspective to things that they think they knew.
Well, let's see one of those famous Erik Killmonger monologues. Here we go. You know what? That is exactly why I chose that clip for that line right there. Hey, auntie. The mutual disrespect and respect shown in that line. Chef's kiss, chef's kiss. Tempted to keep the hair?
Huh?
Tempted to keep the hair?
Yeah, I did. I felt if I get my braids back, it was pretty cool. Shout out to Joe, my barber out there. He responsible for that cut. Joe killed that one. No, it was cool. We were trying to. Me and Ryan wanted to figure out what being from Oakland, having Erik from Oakland, we wanted to figure out what a style he could rock. There's a lot of locks out there. What would kids or what could we influence when the movie came out? What would they want to wear? And we ended up with that look.
And that look just fed an incredible performance. I think, even watching it and everything that your character says in it, like you think, well, yeah, he's not really lying.
Yeah, he's got an argument. He just kind of had a different approach, due to his upbringing and kind of things that he went through. It's just like, look, this is, he's kind of been around, colonizers and know how they think and know how they move. And it's like he only sees one end to, one way to get, liberation, to be able to, stand on their own ones and twos over there. So that was his approach to the conversation.
Not a bad guy, just an alternative hero.
Just an alternative hero. I like that.
There we go.
I'm going with that one.
I want to talk about the final character today, so I'm really gutted. We're running out of time. But Brian Stevenson,
Yep.
Just Mercy, an incredible movie based on the book of the same title, which you guys can all watch in this very cinema next week, Wednesday. A guy who is really in your life now, somebody that you consider a friend. How was it, interpreting somebody who's still alive that you know, but also trying to put your own artistic stamp on him?
I thought it was going to be like, oh man, this is going to be a lot easier because I got the guy here. I can just hit him up. But it was so much pressure. It was actually the opposite. I think it was a lot harder because, once you know who Brian Stevenson is and you get a chance to spend time with him and talk with him and understand the work that he's doing, you're like, man, this guy is damn near perfect. Like, nobody's perfect, but he's close. He what he stands for. And just him, he's so humble, and he has an amazing heart. He wants to do the right thing and help these people who, are wrongly convicted and really defend the poor and the condemned and, disfavored. He's a really special person, and I feel honored to be able to tell his story. And yeah, it's not work, honestly. Like this, being able to talk about him and promote this movie, it's a privilege.
And produced by your company as well.
It is.
Outlier Society.
That's really exciting for me also. Just trying to grow across the board and be able to tell stories that are a reflection of the world that we live in is really important to me too.
Let's check it out. This is a really incredible scene from the movie. So for context, Brian is a lawyer who helps out people who are on death row. Just to, how would you describe Brian?
I mean, I would describe Brian as, he is a, defense attorney who has, started the EJI, was the Equal Justice Initiative, and they basically, they set out their missions to get wrongly convicted, people on death row exonerated, through the biased, judicial system that we have in the United States, and yeah, he's dedicated his life to the cause, and this is a few of the cases that he's had, the most impactful cases that he's had, that he has in his book, Just Mercy. So we did it was a really tedious job at picking the cases to really craft a full story, and yeah, and give a 360 view of what he does.
Let's check it out. This is you, Jamie Foxx, and quite a few others in a really,
Brie
really
Larson,
poignant scene.
Captain Marvel.
So this film, as we mentioned, was produced by your company, and you are one of the leaders in the industry, where you are making sure that your whole cast, your whole crew is as inclusive as possible. How powerful does it make you feel? Yeah, it's fantastic. How powerful does it make you feel to have that agency, specifically over stories like this, where, you know, we are so used to sort of seeing black trauma sort of like commodified a lot for popcorn flicks, and that's definitely not happening here.
No, I think for me, you know, a couple of Oscars ago, when Frances McDormand gave that, you know, incredible speech, and, you know, and brought up the inclusion writer, I was in the audience, and I was just like, wow, okay, cool. There's something in writing I can kind of put into place to ensure, you know, cast and crew is a reflection of the world that I live in, and diverse of all, you know, mediums and overlooked mediums. You know, I immediately, you know, ran it up the flagpole. People, in my company and, you know, my team or whatever. And the first project that we had up was Just Mercy, and fortunate enough to have an incredible partner in Warner Brothers, who, you know, embraced it. You know, they ran towards it. They asked for us to kind of work hand in hand to figure out how to, you know, write their policy, you know, their inclusion policy for Warner Media. So now, you know, all of Warner Media, all of their companies, you know, follow this mandate, you know, and it's a step, you know. That's how they hire now. And I think, you know, having, you know, arguably the best studio in the world back that message, you know, hopefully that sets a precedence, you know, for other production companies, for other studios that will want to take that initiative also and include that policy in the way they do business as well. And that's a step, you know. I think we're moving in the right direction. We have a long way to go, you know, and I think this is a step to ensure, you know, fairness and, you know, amongst creatives, you know. Yeah, I'm extremely proud of this project for a lot of reasons, and that's definitely one of them.
Well, I'm so happy that you feel that way, of course, because we want to see ourselves reflected in screen. I think that you kind of answered my final question, which was, what do you want to see more of, as behind and in front of the camera? What do you want from Hollywood, like right now? Which I know is a very big question. But
I want it all. No, I think. You know, nothing's perfect. Everything has some, you know, it's what speaks to you, you know, like, you know, there's, you know, pick an issue, you know, and get behind it, you know, and try to see change. You know, for me, inclusion, it's not even, you know, it's something I was naturally going to do anyway. You know, I think being black and not always having a fair shake at things and being excluded from a lot of situations, when I get a chance to, you know, have the power, have the ability, have the platform to invite other people that look and sound like me, you know, or from different groups that aren't represented as well in the workspace, that's something that I was going to do anyway, you know. So, you know, to be able to put something formally, you know, in writing was the big takeaway. And I think Hollywood is, you know, it's a reactive industry. It's a business that people have to remember. This is a money making machine. This is things that, you know, has, you know profit and losses, you know, that companies and shareholders, and it's a bigger thing than just what's fair all the time. So I think if you could find the way to connect all those dots, you know, and you know, it's something that's constantly having to be worked at and constantly rearranged and adjusted. But, you know, I like to think of myself as a problem solver, so I enjoy trying to find those ways to get everybody on the same page, you know. So to be able to do that this time in my life, you know, where I got the energy and the effort, you know, and you know, youth on my side, I'm gonna keep knocking down those doors as best I can.
Michael B. Jordan, please do.
Yeah.
And on that note, we love to see it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
And thank you so very much, everybody. Michael B. Jordan.
Thank you, guys.